If possible, we're going to look at the topic, Nigeria's survival seeking for homegrown solution. Okay, that's exactly what we're going to look at today. By the way, my name is C. Joma, and I have gentlemen that have joined me to look at this topic. The first person is John Ifejika, is a public affairs analyst. Good morning, John.
Good morning.
And then the next person is Chukwu Nonso Ekesiobi. He's a lecturer at Chukwu Emeka Odimegwu Ojukwu University, Igbariam. Good morning, Chukwu Nonso.
Good morning. Nice to be here again.
Okay, you're welcome. Yes, Nigeria survival. What is it that you are surviving from? We are looking at the states that were created alongside Anambra State. And then we also went ahead to look at the nation that had independence with Nigeria at the same time. Talking about India, that we are colonized by the same people and had this independence at the same time. And when we were in secondary school, we are referred as third world countries. And today we are asking, is India still a third world country? And then where is Nigeria in the scheme of affairs? Now, let's now get back to what we want to talk about. What is it about Nigeria that is, after how many years of independence, is still looking for survival? Ekesiobi, I'm starting with you.
Like you just said, you have painted a picture of the gloomy situation of the country. Because if things get better, we won't be talking about survival. We'll be talking about sustaining the tempo, or maybe catching up with the rest of the world. Now we are not even talking about catching up again. We are talking about maintaining our existence, as it were. And you rightly pointed out that yes, with the way things are, it is not out of place to begin to ask this kind of critical questions, especially in the face of what is happening today. We have seen that if we look at socio-economic situation in the country, things are getting, I think we've moved from bad to worse, then worse to almost terrible. So, like you just said, now we have moved, okay, you alluded to third world country. Maybe we need to create a new criteria and maybe push us to the fourth world country. And it is important because just like you mentioned, countries that have moved from, or they have leapfrogged, along the positive side of the development trajectory. For instance, India, you mentioned. India, like their next door neighbor, China, we've seen how within just the space of 3 to 4 decades, they've transformed themselves to a superpower. And it's not rocket science. These people had to look at what they have within themselves, because they know that nobody will rescue them apart from themselves. And like these two countries I've mentioned, they had to take deliberate steps, by asking themselves, very frank questions and coming out with, solutions that are peculiar to their own environment. But why have we not gotten there? And it is very obvious because, okay, I'm still coming to India. Look at, for instance, there are things that you know India for. In the world of pharmaceuticals, you dare not count India out of the top 3 globally. As far as science, technology is concerned, look at the top managers of most IT firms globally. They are headed by Indians. They are headed by Indians. So I'm just trying to. So you can see that India is still not a coincidence that India is part of the BRICS nation: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Mm-hmm. And not only have these countries, evolved by galvanizing their strengths together, now countries want to identify with them. And it is not surprising because this block of 5 countries used to control more than 25% of the global economy. They have over 50% of the world population. And, they deserve that attention they are getting. But you see the way they admitted some countries of recent, and people were asking, where is Nigeria in the mix
I'm
of
coming
things?
to that.
But
tell me why you were rejected.
Yeah. So you see that we are begging for survival, honestly, because the poverty situation in the country is terrible. look away from statistics, because sometimes when we say we have 133 million people who are multidimensionally poor, we have this and that, it doesn't speak to the issues directly. It's as if we are just looking at statistics. For crying out loud, these are human beings. We need to begin to look at these things critically. We talked about, okay, look at what the magic that just happened the other day. We have a very serious unemployment crisis in the country. At first, when it was about 33% or so, we were saying that figure was 40, that it's worse than that. And what did the National Bureau of Statistics do? They went to, well, I don't want to call it rebase. I want to call it manipulate, because that's what they did. All of a sudden, you now say that, no, we have 4% unemployed Nigerians, 4%. You don't need to look around, you don't need to look at data. Look around families, household. In every household, there is somebody who is either unemployed or underemployed. So these things are things that we need to be looking at. And this,
anger in people. Can you look at Nigeria and say that they have 4%?
That's what I'm saying. And this fuel subsidy removal, I still say that yes, it was the right way to go, but the wrong approach. The subsidy removal and this exchange rate abracadabra has kept us in a mess.
Okay. I'll come back to you, but let me first of all talk to Ifejika about the things that is making Nigeria, keeping Nigeria at a place that after so many years of independence, you are still striving to survive. What are the things?
Yes, I want to give you an analogy. The issue of Nigeria, just like a man who filled his house with foodstuff, he has bags of rice, meat stored, tomatoes, everything, gari, beans, yam in the house. They have 4 children, but the wife cannot cook. So the children are starving. God has blessed this nation. I think in the whole world, after DR Congo, in terms of blessing, that is Nigeria. DR Congo has in terms of natural resources.
Endowments.
Let me get you before you continue. The wife cannot cook or does not know how to cook.
No, she
or cannot cook well.
No, she's lazy to give food to the children. So God has blessed us, and we now have a question of leadership.
Yeah.
Leadership has been our problem. We got independent in 1960, the Republic in 1963 with Tafawa Balewa and Anambra. They are there. Nigeria has a population at that time of 6,000 military men. Now, the first coup came. What they accused the leadership was 10%ers. That was their reason for coming in to take over. They said 10%. You find out that right from inception, we have faced corruption. And we have come to a state where you see, no rich man in Nigeria today, those billionaires we are talking of, none of them had this money through sports or through manufacturing and so on. It has always been through government legacy. So they have sucked us dry. We have not gotten it right when it comes to leadership. Leadership has always been the problem. By the time we have leaders who don't amass wealth, is then that Nigeria will come to the normal destiny. Then number 2 is tribalism. If you try now to invent something, you're talking of India. In terms of tech, ICT today in the whole world, India leads. Even in America, you come to any blue chip company, you must see an Indian there as an executive in that place, taking control. The reason being that Nigeria, if it's an Igbo man that is trying to bring a good idea, the other tribe will bring him down. They said, no, how can it be from these people to be the first? They bring him down. In the same thing, the whole thing begin to run into small units. Some is religion. How can this person be the first to do that? While our religion, we are second. That is our problem. But the day we have a leadership that has no relation, no family, no tribe, who will come in and face leadership in Nigeria squarely, then Nigeria will come to his senses. Look at what is happening now, where the leader of the Red Chamber was saying that something has been paid into the account for how many days break. While some Nigerians cannot talk of feeding. They do 0-1-0. Some we add it with water, to drink water, no food, nothing. And we have leaders that squander money. Tell me that rich man in Nigeria that has not gotten his money through the wealth, through the legacy, the stealing of Nigerian money. They all got their money through stealing. In every facet of leadership. When we change this, even if the church has not helped, the religious organization has not helped any day. Now I know you work in this radio station, and if I'm a religious leader and I invite you, and you say you are giving me 3 million naira, and I know that 3 million naira is just a little, maybe your salary for the year is a little above that 3 million. I will clap for you, not asking how did you get this money.
Oh, but who are supposed to ask the questions?
The church itself will help. If a permanent secretary come and pay and give 15 million donation to a church, the permanent secretary is a thief.
Okay, should be questioned.
It should be questioned. The church will preach and say, no. Let me tell you something that happened when Jim Mobodo was the governor in old Anambra State. Jim Mobodo was governor, and he built a church in his hometown. Then he was a Link Group manager, a general managing director of Link Group, one of the biggest. He had money. He built a church in his hometown. And then the primate of Church of Nigeria, Olufosoye, came in there, and Jim Mobodo made an offering of 1 million. The man was to go after the service on Sunday. The old man refused to go. That they will go and see the governor. Whether that money is a mistake. How can he give 1 million naira offering to them? So they went. They went to greet him for coming and for building the church in his community. But this is the money we found. When we counted the money, the bishop of Enugu, Tubelu, told me that this is the money. And how? Then Jim Mobodo said, I gave that money. No leader of any church today in Nigeria will do that. That's to tell you the level of decadence in our society. So the church should question. You're a permanent secretary, you are head of service, you're a governor, there's an amount you donate. It's questionable. We ask you questions. But today we clap. Nobody cares. And this is killing Nigeria gradually. So that time that we use to do things, he works in the university. Ask him when last was he given a grant for research. They don't give them grant for research. So how can they now go to the moon?
Okay, talking about questioning, I think some people are still questioning, but the issue is when they questioned, would they be replied? And even if they are replied, will it be implemented? Judging from what's going on in this country, I know that the last president that ruled this country before Tinubu had the issue of certificates. One time he said that his certificate is with the army. The other time it is with the INEC and a whole lot of things. And nobody answered that question until he stayed for 8 years. Now is another one. I think he's asking, if you had gone to university, show us your primary and secondary school education.
Your classmates.
And who are your classmates? Which school did you attend? And nothing is coming as an answer, yet the government is going on. So who is supposed to checkmate this impunity and excesses? Is this thing in this nation that is making us to continue striving to survive after how many years of independence?
Tribalism. Tribalism. He is my tribe man. The only person that have no tribe in Nigeria is a beggar. It's tribalism. It's our own. It's our tongue. That mentality, when we stop it, you understand me? Yes. Now the first man, the president at that particular time, then the question would have been, if the president had no school certificate, how did he get into the army and went to Sandhurst and get up to become a major general?
And if you do, provide it.
Yes. But what they did is that they give them concession. There was a time in Ahmadu Bello University, people with 3 credits will come in. and come in, and they are the people ruling us today. Half-baked people. Do you understand me? Now, this issue of the man now not bringing his classmates is because he doesn't want you to know his age. Because the day I brings my classmate, even if I'm younger in the class and you see a 90-year-old man as my classmate, you will add plus and minus. Hey, this man will not be less than 85 years. So,
okay, but do you have age tag in your presidency? Since for you to become a president, you just need to know how to read and write.
No,
do you have the number of age you will get to
no, what
become
we
a
are
president?
talking is, there is a certain age you reach that you will not look at.
No, it's not constitutional.
It's not constitutional, but when you look at it mentally, you are no more.
Maybe he may have falsified the age along the way. That's why he's
so
trying to cover up.
So he falsified his age. And he started. How can you be 71 and you have a daughter who is 60 years? Is it possible? Then if it's possible, let my little son who was 11 yesterday go and get a wife. So that by the time he's 70, the child will be 60.
It will be 60. It's funny. Okay, gentlemen, let's move on. Remember, we are looking at Nigeria's survival and then seeking for homegrown solutions. Okay, let us first of all look at what we are surviving from. What is are we talking about the fuel subsidy, the exchange rate, or the oil theft that Ribadu just started saying that this now that oil theft just started, that the one you are seeing before is this joke, and then a whole lot of things that is setting Nigeria back. Actually, that was my question. Initially I asked the question. So what do we do to curtail this thing so that we move forward, okay, and stop existing?
There are a lot of things, but I think the first one is to get our leadership right, like Chief said.
I'm not a chief.
Oh, sorry, sir. So you see, we need to get the leadership right, because if we don't get the leadership, the followership is messed up. So there should be a leadership that is, exemplary and that is transformative. And how do we get leadership right? Our leadership recruitment process is where we are at. Today, people are talking about, the country is not just settled. Leadership is about, how authentic are you? People saw what happened during the elections. A lot of issues were raised, and we have been waiting, to follow the rule of law, and the court process has been ongoing. So I don't think for now there is still that level of uncertainty hovering around to know whether this government is the government that has come to stay or is just a temporary one, and depending what the outcome of the tribunal will be. So you see a lot of all these issues hovering around it, and even the uncertainty is so glaring and pushing further impunity. For instance, a minister, somebody who has been sworn in as a minister, is still holding up to his senatorial seat. Yes, now, do we have to mention names? He's still holding up to his senatorial seat. Why? As a lifeline, just in case.
It's not one person. I think there are two of them.
Just in case they kick you out. Yes, the chief of staff, yeah. Just in case they are kicked out, so they can have something to fall back on. It's wrong.
So who's going to kick them out?
It's just, that's why I said we are still in court now. The court process, we are still observing what is going on. It's wrong. So for heaven's sake.
If it's wrong, is there any law? Because that's what they will push you back
Yes,
to.
there is a law.
Is there any law saying that you cannot be this and that
you
at
cannot.
the same time?
There is a law. There is a law. There is a law.
There is a law, but
there is a law.
Everything in Nigeria.
So you see, we bring in technicalities, all these funny things.
Oh, and who is going to implement the law? He is the lawmaker. They made the law that you're talking about.
When you have that challenge with leadership, every other thing crumbles. We are talking about survivor. Somebody who is starving. There's something that my students used to say: a civil servant does not do dorime. In the sense that when we know that you are on a salaried account or revenue, you cannot come and be spending money lavishly. So in that case, Nigeria is in a very precarious situation. Yet our cost of governance, we have been hammering cutting the cost of governance. But instead of doing that, we are even bloating it more. What do you need 45 ministers for crying out loud? What do you need all those people for? And each minister will have an SA, PA, EA, whatever, appendages to the office. So a minister came on board and we were talking about the car he was driving. And the rest of the, you see, are you supposed to be doing those kind of things? So we are not talking about cutting the cost of governance. So it means that the wrong people are making the sacrifice. They expect you and I to tighten our belts while they allow their stomach to get protruded. And that's not the kind of
feeding on the
so
that's masses.
Not, yeah. He mentioned corruption. Corruption is now a lucrative business. It's now like a free for all. How much can you take? Or what's corruption doesn't necessarily mean the monetary aspect alone. The nepotism and tribalism is still part of it. You will see somebody who is not capable for a particular assignment and you appoint the person there because he's my brother, he's my sister. Or when the right or the opposite, when the right person gets appointed, they start saying, no, we don't have, why must it be somebody from the south? Why must it somebody from the southeast? It must be the cousin or the relative of the president or this. So these things are serious issues. Then again, how then do we make our expenditure choices? Are we spending money on what we are supposed to spend money on? Where are our resources going to? For heaven's sake, as the kind of social investment we need to be doing in this country, in the areas of education, health, and security, is unparalleled. In fact, look at what is happening in security. A military friend of mine, when I mean a military friend of mine, told me in confidence that you see all this insecurity we are suffering up and down, Boko Haram, this and that, it will not stop. I was shocked. And this is somebody, a high-ranking person. It's not just these ones you see by the roadside. I said, why? He said that there are people profiting from it. That the day you end this security or insurgents, that some people will go hungry. That they need this crisis to continue, this terrorism, this kidnapping to continue, so that we will keep allocating more money to the security sector. So we are no longer talking about competence. Every time we come back, we say we need to rejig our security architecture, bring in new, service chiefs and the rest. That's what you are just doing. You are just making way for another group of people to come in and get their own share. That we are not talking about the root of the problem. Look at when did it become a normal thing now that our military officers get to die like irrelevant people. Look at what happened when I think the jet the other day that came down, whether it was attacked or not. And at first they wanted to deny that something like that did not happen. Then later they say it was just 8 officers when it was about 30 something. It's until these guys released the video evidence that we now.
But I learned some died on the ground while on air. Not all of them were in the same crowd. Some died on it was a massive attack.
It's a massive attack. So we are now saying that if we cannot sincerely address security, you will keep surviving. Forget the fact that we are trying to shop around looking for investment. Nobody will come and invest in a country that is not safe. Development cannot happen in a country that is not safe. And safety is not something you politicize. I remember when it was this Igbo guy that was chief of army staff under Jonathan. Jirika. Yeah. When they were bombarding these people, what happened? Some group of people came out and said, no, they are taking it to ICC. That is trying to eliminate their people. And the rest of them. But what happened afterwards? What happened? We have seen the security situation deteriorate terribly. There are some roads you cannot take. Look, nobody is talking about railway. We keep talking about investing in infrastructure. How many of our railway network, especially those going from Abuja, Kaduna, and upwards?
Who is talking about infrastructure again? Everyone is talking about infrastructure.
Okay, even the infrastructure. We came out the other day and said the president and the presidency said that they will give states 5 billion. That they will give one truckload of rice. We have different categorizations of trucks. if we want to talk of rice, talk about it maybe in bags or in tons. We will know what we are measuring. So somebody can fill up a small diner and call it a truck.
Diner is a truck.
It's a truck. So,
or even the one that you pull with your hands.
Yeah.
The whole truck.
And let me tell you, this rice we are talking about, we have run out of rice. Any rice we are talking about sharing is rice that will come from outside.
We saw what they were sharing in Lagos. In 1 kg gari, 1 kg beans, and 1 kg that can last family just one day.
You are just trying to use maybe the media to give people hope that they are saying they will give 5 billion. What will 5 billion do? Do you know how many people have lost their jobs? Do you know how many people are in misery because of what we are passing through? It's a very serious thing, though. Yeah, but well, moving forward, if you ask me.
Okay, before we move forward, let's look at this story about importation of food, whereby the government's efforts to import more food is failing because it has risen to 122%, and then deficit hits 4.9 trillion naira. And then some of us are asking, must you continue, if it's in the religion, they say, well, the Bible will say, will you continue in sin for grace to abound? Okay?
God forbid.
God forbid. So what are you doing to, mitigate this thing from home front? What do you do? Will you keep importing?
Yes, I think in this case, we consume 8 million tons of rice in Nigeria, and we produce 6 point something million. That shows that this thing will be covered. We will have learned from America does. America consume about 30 million tons of rice. They produce over 200 tons of rice. What they do is that the one for consumption, they bring it out in their market. Then the ones for export, they take it to other nations and sell. Then the ones that are not so good, they cake it and begin to drop it in the ocean with helicopter for their aquatic sustenance, theirs to eat, things like that. That is a country that cares. In Nigeria, nobody cares. They give you money because there was a time MFL and Buhari were having a pyramid of
fake
pyramids of
rice. Through these anchor brewers, they were doing them.
Now, where is that rice? And something like that. You see, we would have be very serious.
The rice is in detention.
Yes, and give this rice and produce all this food. We don't have enough food. And yet, our cassava is being sent to China and some other nations because people find out that it is a good brand and cheaper. I mean, they make a lot of money.
We are the world's largest producer of cassava.
And we are hungry here.
We are the
and we are hungry. One penta of gari, 1,005. That cannot do one family 2 days. Okay? We are hungry here. So what exactly is going on?
The country should do like America. America buys the food and subsidizes. You are a farmer, and I represent government. He sells. All I do is that I buy from you, pay you, then beat down the price and sell to him.
Yeah.
That is subsidy.
A subsidy, yes. This
subsidy. And the whole thing will go ahead. Not what we are doing in petrol. Because this petrol subsidy, every time they keep on removing it, we have told them that let there be deregulation.
Has it ever been there? Has it ever
been there? Let there be deregulation.
Has the subsidy ever been in petroleum? That's one question that nobody has been able to answer.
So that you will buy, I will buy, you will buy. Then we will sell according to. So you find out that the whole thing will come down. Not when NNPC goes and bring in petrol at 215 naira. Then you add the markup and everything, it comes to
670.
It comes to 260 naira. Then they now raise it up to 600 naira. Then we don't have
617 naira.
We don't have any choice but to be in this trouble. We know, they know exactly what will end all these things. The whole money they've spent, why not use it to maintain the refineries?
There's hope rising for the refineries because they were saying that
in
the
December.
Port Harcourt refinery must come alive by December this
Let's wait
year.
and see, except it's not in Nigeria.
You don't wish us well.
Not wish, you know that these people are not honest. This is a country where a governor told us that
we've been hearing
he's stopping Okada and is bringing in some kekene. Up to today, we didn't see that.
We've been hearing turnaround maintenance for years.
So many things.
So I don't blame him for being pessimistic.
We've been hearing
turnaround maintenance for years. But nothing.
I don't wish to depress you this morning.
Another problem is, you look at it, it will continue. We will never get it right in leadership. Because no poor man can ever be presidential candidate of any political party. Mm-hmm. You are going to spend money. And not tell somebody, maybe he's a lecturer, they'll say this man is good, he's a lecturer, a professor, he will do well. How will he get there? He cannot.
Yes.
Because the people there will frustrate him, he will pay, he will do one.
Nobody's asking about our electoral, as in campaign financing, all those things. All those things.
In the US, what you do is that you raise money from people. People support you. And at the
just like Peter B tried doing.
At the end of the day, you give account of every cent that has been sent to you. When we come to that, not when a multi-billionaire will come in and say you want to contest, I'm going to sponsor you and give you commission, and say out of the 50 ministers, I'm going to take 30 because he's the godfather, he's the one sponsoring you. Mm-hmm. You will agree because you want to be there. The same thing applicable in governorship.
Yeah, power at all costs.
Power at all costs. So as long as our electoral process is like this, we will continue to face this problem.
Problem of surviving. Okay, we'll take a break here. To bring in some people, and when we come back, we'll continue from where we stopped. But this time around, we'll look for solution. What do we do? Because we really need to survive, and not just survive, and move ahead from this point. Take a look.
Great news for Anambra Broadcasting Service ABS audience. You can now watch ABS television through any of these ways.
Buy a terrestrial antenna and connect to your television. Search ABS Channel 24 Oka or ABS Channel 27 Onitsha. Install StarTimes cable decoder and search ABS Channel 113. Install Metro Digital cable decoder and search ABS Channel 29.
Watch ABS TV on your smart TV or smartphone by downloading Anambra Broadcasting Service app on Google Play Store. Also watch via ABS Facebook page at ABS Radio Television and ABS YouTube page at ABS Television Oka.
ABS TV is now also on satellite. You can watch us from anywhere in Nigeria and other African countries. Simply install ViewSat TV decoder or any other free-to-air decoder and tune into channel 0031.
Whichever option you choose, stay abreast of breaking news, documentaries, children's shows, talk shows, comedy, sports, movies, and lots more on your darling TV station.
For adverts and program sponsorship, contact 0803-388-8526 or 0806-883-9902. ABS, Heartbeat of the East.
Okay, welcome back. It is still Good Morning Anambra Monday morning edition, and we are looking at how we'll keep surviving in this country. What we must do to survive, okay? And though I've asked the question, how long do we want to, stay on this level of survival when people that got the independence with us over the years have moved ahead from fourth to third, from third to second, and then some of them have even dived into the first world nations. And we are still surviving as the third world nation. Okay, I said that when we come back, we'll start looking for solution. What do we do? I need to survive. Let's start from the home front, where you have to feed and then make ends meet. So many families, so many homes are just falling apart because of what is going on now. The man is not meeting up. The woman is not helping. The children are complaining everywhere. Extended family, problems here and there, just because Nigeria is still surviving after so many years of independence. So what do we do to ensure that we keep running? Because when we have all these failures here and there, especially on the home front, that simply means the society is not good for it. I'm coming to you. Ekesiobi.
Well, from the home front, there are a lot of things we need to do now. First and foremost, I think the other day I saw a program where the wife of the governor was encouraging families to begin to look at having small, maybe gardens or around where you live, so you can be planting some things you consume. So I think that's one way to look at it. Secondly, everybody needs to start, trying to cut their expenses relative to what the reality on ground. If you need to take your child to a very far destination for school run, please, you begin to start looking at how you can optimize schools around you, so you cut transportation costs.
Or move from private to public
or move
school.
from private to public, or, then what you consume and how you go ahead consuming it. So those things, we need to begin to make very serious expenditure choices at the personal level. Then we now come to the economy level. If we are the economy, like I've mentioned, we don't need to be spending money or throwing money about as if we don't know that we have a revenue challenge. As I've talked about cutting the cost of governance, it needs to be done seriously. It is not just lip service again. This is something that we need to take seriously. Then making the economy, less attractive for corruption. Begin to hold people accountable. And that is where you strengthen, institutions like the media, because the media is part of, my colleague here said, the faith-based institutions. But it's not only the responsibility of faith-based institutions to call out bad leadership. The media is also instrumental. But you see that nowadays, you see that there's a deliberate effort to stifle the media. There are things you will just say now, you will be fined 5 million, 10 million, as if you don't want the media. So what then do you want them to say? So the media needs to be, as objective and as free as it should be, so that it can call out, wrong when it sees it. Then you talk about engaging civil society organizations. It is not because of a civil society practitioner raised the plight of persons living with disability that made the government had to respond. That no, we are actually looking after them, and try rolling out efforts it has been making towards improving the lot of the persons with disability. It is because of civil societies raised the issue. So people say we need that stakeholder engagement needs to be expanded, so that more and more people can come into the governance space. Governance now needs to be very inclusive, as it were. Governance now needs to be inclusive, so more people can come in and contribute their own quota. If you make governance inclusive, people with the right ideas, people with the right vision can come in and contribute. It is not surrounding yourself with sycophants and they keep telling you that all is well, when all is not well. These are critical. Then again, we need to leverage technology. We are not leveraging technology enough. Because if we leverage technology properly, a lot of all these things we are finding it difficult to do, we don't need to be talking. For instance, he mentioned that I even want to query that if we don't, for a country that does not know the actual number, actual amount of petrol that is consumed locally, how can you plan for it? If you don't know the number of people that are unemployed, the number of people, okay, we were working with a social register in the last administration under the Ministry of Human Affairs. The new government under the same party came out and said that the social register was flawed. When people were saying it back then, that the social register, this money people were using to share handouts, palliative and rest, that is flawed. That people get, now you came out again to admit. So what are we doing with data? You cannot plan without data. How many people are hungry? How many people are unemployed? How many out of school children do we have? How many this? How many that? We don't have the accurate statistics. So if you don't have the, so when I say this thing, people think that you're always trying to make it look, but we are emphasizing a problem. I want to query, for instance, the National Bureau of Statistics. Yes, economics and statistics, we share many things in common. Because anything you cannot measure, you cannot provide a policy, accurate policy for it. When I tell you I query what with the statistics we brandish about, look at, if you want to look at the GDP of this country, we have the National Bureau of Statistics publishes our GDP at the national level. But they don't give you GDP at state level. Because before you aggregate, something must build on something before you to get to the final destination. Give us the GDP at state level so we can know how we arrived at the national own. But it is not available at at that level. We bring out inflation data and we say inflation just moved from 22.4% to 22.7%. I beg to differ. If you go to the market, in fact, prices don't increase on a monthly basis now. It increases on a weekly basis.
Hourly basis.
3 days.
Hourly basis.
Yes. So, but
something he bought in the morning, they come back, he has added 500 naira.
yeah, when you see countries that look at inflation the way it is done, you see that in most countries, even developed countries, they are running inflation rate of over 30-40%. But here that we are seeing the inflation happening to us seriously, we are still managing these things. No, we have to make the thing we have to make it obvious that there is a challenge. Then look at our policy space. The policy inconsistency is something else. Look at, we used to have a minister of finance or a finance ministry that manages the fiscal affairs of the government. But now government cannot tell itself how much it is owing, how much it is borrowing, how much comes in actually as revenue. They have also distorted what happens in the CBN. Now the CBN has lost its credibility as a monetary institution. The monetary policy in this country is shrouded by uncertainty. Uncertainty
is an autopilot.
Yes. So you have an acting CBN governor that
refused to.
Yeah, he's speaking from both sides of the mouth.
To declare his assets.
Speaking from both sides of the mouth.
And some people are taking him to court for that.
And you have removed. In fact, by politicizing the CBN under MFLA, you have only made the matter worse in this current situation. So nobody knows what is happening with our exchange rate, because the NNPC went to borrow, was that $3 billion the other day to come and stabilize our exchange. So I'm not asking, when did it become the job of the NNPC to go and look for dollar?
NNPC has been doing this.
So go and look for dollar to stabilize. Then look at our foreign.
Somebody was asked, did we vote them
our
in?
Foreign reserve. I'm coming. There are a lot of issues that we need to look at. Our foreign reserve, he said 33 billion. They used to brandish 33 billion. Who knew that it was 3 point only billion? Because we have mortgaged some away with the international financial institution, JP Morgan and co. So we don't even have any reserve to fall back on in case of this thing. So in fact, we are not even talking about. We shouldn't be talking about surviving. That we are on red alert. As in, there's fire on the mountain. It's no longer surviving.
Red flag is on.
Okay, gentlemen, we are looking for homegrown solution. Mr. Fejika, yes. What do we do? What are the homegrown solutions we need to survive?
Now, maybe some of us that are old will know that when you had the regions, the northern region, eastern region, western region, then later Midwestern region was carved out. All these regions have what we call farm settlements. Where your university is today.
Ibarra, yeah, it used to be a farm settlement.
Ibarra farm settlement for the eastern region. Yes. Now this farm settlement feeds the regions. Yeah. We have in Ibadan a farm settlement that is around Apata area of Ibadan. Yes. There is farm settlement, very big, massive land. They farm there. They come, people go there and see things, anything you want. We will go back to that, because I don't think states have Ministry of Agriculture again, because if they have, we have not seen any produce that comes from them. No, it's true.
Why did the farm, what do you call it, settlement, yes. Why was it shut down?
It was when the military came in, they felt Nigeria became very wealthy in the 70s of oil. This country we are seeing now was asking some other countries, like in Caribbean island, that tell us your needs, we pay.
Yeah.
Nigerians were paying.
We're
That's
pay-
why when the South Africans were the other day discussing problem, Nigeria government spent a lot of billions of dollars to make sure that South Africa, Zimbabwe, that they get their
independence. Yeah.
Now the money was there, they don't know what to do with the money. Have you heard of the Udoji Award?
Go
Have you
on.
heard of the Adebo Award?
Go said it at some point, and the problem is not money, but it's
So
what to
money,
do
what-
with
and
it.
What to do with the money? Nigeria had that money. Then when you are in the university, you are given, when you want to have your breakfast, you are given a tin milk in a small distance. Then when you want to eat chicken, it's cut for.
They give you meal tickets.
They give you milk.
And that's when they say that food was
God, when?
subsidized in the university.
when, oh.
Yes.
Let us look for solution, gentlemen. Our time is
That
almost up.
solution
What do
is
we
that
do to
we
ensure
will-
that we have
now,
a
government-
homegrown economy
yes.
that will, mitigate
Yes.
this
It's not this famine of
problem in
food,
the country?
this having a garden and so on that we have gone beyond
We have
that.
gone beyond that.
So what the government will do is that they should have, we have arable of land. They should have people and begin again to have this farm settlement where people will go in their farm and government will subsidize and do something meaningful. What is that? Like this, I expect the governors of the south, the south, to come down here, make a meeting and say, Ebonyi State, you are good at rice cultivation. Anambra State, you are good at rice cultivation. Give us this
And yam.
and yam, and give us
Cassava.
This, cassava. Give us Abia, Imo, give us cassava.
It was palm oil.
Then Imo, give us palm oil. Then Aba, let's use Aba as an industrial hub where so many things are done. And now Onitsha will go there and carry, and people will come there and do what? And sell.
And trade.
But before all these things will happen, then the security issue needs to be addressed. Because it's not when people go into farm, you are giving some people money to go into farm. The herdsmen will go with their cattle.
Is there any way the southeastern region can mitigate security, without the help of the federal government?
They should give us state police.
They'll give us state police.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because in some states, they give their vigilante AK-47 to carry. Then in some states, you allow them to go with pump action.
Pump action.
Why? In some states, they carry double barrel. Why? So what is good for the goose is also good for the gander. You don't just do that. It's wrong. So we talk of security. Then if there is security, then empowered people, let people go in and farm and do something. Like now we are talking of catfish. We get catfish from a certain town in Nigeria where some companies are doing all those things. They bring their catfish from that place to different parts of Nigeria. They do that. Different parts up to the north, you see catfish, Abuja catfish from one or three companies.
Okay.
We do that, we will survive.
Okay. We'll do that to survive. Thank you very much, Mr. Ifejirika.
Not Ifejika, Ifejika.
Ifejika, something. Okay. Who brought in Ifejika? Okay.
Ifejika was the army
The
man.
general. The army general. Okay, thank you very much. And then you may have one or two things to add before we just round up, because our time is
Well,
up.
I'm looking at deliberate intervention beyond just formal education, reading and writing, but intervening so that skill acquisition can be something we take seriously, so that people can move from theory to practice, looking at self-sustenance, self-empowerment. So at that level. So, if then again, while he has said about investing in agriculture, that's the first part. The second part is how then do we improve on the value chain so that what we produce is not just sold in its raw form. We should look at processing this thing to arrive at finished products, so that we strengthen the link between the agricultural sector and the manufacturing sector. That way, we will be self-sustaining. We should not be importing majority of what we consume in the country. We should start by looking inwards and by leadership following the right example. We shouldn't be buying cars for when we have car manufacturer, local car manufacturer. So when they see the government is doing the right thing, everybody will follow suit.
The government should be honest to the people that they're stealing. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Chukwunonso Ekesiobi, a lecturer at Chukwuemeka Odumegwu University in Bariam. Thank you very much for coming this morning, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, and then John Ifejika, a public affairs analyst. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much.
Okay, and that's how it's been today on the program. Good morning, Anambra. And I'd like to thank you, those of you that watched from home, those that joined us online. Thank you very much. If you like what you saw today, okay, remember to join us tomorrow morning for our fresh edition. Thank you, the camera guys. Thank you, the ops directors, the producer, everybody that made it happen this morning. Thank you. My name is Sijama. God bless you.